Hello, my name is Ellen Smegner, and I will go over how Purina can strengthen its competitive advantage as artificial intelligence, personalization, and premium pet nutrition reshape the pet food industry. Purina should strengthen AI-enabled operations while launching a science-backed customization subscription platform. To begin my analysis, I evaluated the attractiveness of the pet food industry. The most significant force is competitive rivalry, which I weighed at 35%. The pet food industry is highly competitive, with major firms including Mars Petcare, Hills, and General Mills. Because the industry is mature, companies compete through advertising, product innovation, loyalty programs, and premium positioning rather than market expansion. This creates constant pressure on margins and requires investments in innovation. Nestle reinforces this point in its annual report by stating that innovation is at the heart of Nestle's strategy. The second most important force is buyer power, weighed at 25%. Consumers have low switching costs and many alternatives, making it easy to change brands. At the same time, retailers such as Petco, PetSmart, and Chewy influence shelf space, online visibility, and consumer access. As pet owners become more informed about nutrition and ingredients, they expect greater quality and transparency, increasing pressure on manufacturers. I weighed the threat of new entrants at 15% because significant barriers protect established firms. Competing nationally requires major investments in manufacturing, distribution, research, regulatory compliance, and consumer trust. Nestle also emphasizes its investments in science-based innovation and research, illustrating how these capabilities create barriers that are difficult for new entrants to replicate. The threat of substitutes is also weighed at 15% and is moderate. Fresh pet food, raw diets, homemade meals, and subscription services like the farmer's dog are growing in popularity. While these alternatives currently represent a smaller portion of the market, they reflect the changing consumer preferences towards personalization and premium nutrition. Finally, supplier power receives the lowest weight at 10%. Nestle's global purchasing power allows Purina to source ingredients from a wide network of suppliers, limiting supplier leverage. However, specialty ingredients and strict food safety requirements can occasionally increase supplier influence. Overall, I conclude that the pet care industry is moderately attractive. Although competitive rivalry and buyer power create significant pressure on profitability, high barriers of entry, and continued demand for pet care, it also favors established companies like Purina. This means that success depends on less competing through price and more about building sustainable differentiation through scientific credibility, trusted brands, and operational scale. The industry analysis tells us that differentiation is essential for long-term success. The first resource is brand reputation and customer trust. I concluded that this is a sustained competitive advantage because it is valuable, rare, costly to imitate, and well organized. Purina has spent more than a decade building customer trust through scientific research, consistent product quality, and strong veterinarian relationships. While competitors can invest in marketing, they cannot quickly replicate the credibility or customer loyalty that Purina has been able to. The second resource is research and development, along with nutrition science. Nestle has 500 scientists, including nutritionists, veterinarians, behaviorists, and food scientists around the world. These capabilities allow the company to develop differentiated products while maintaining premium positioning. Although competitors also invest heavily in research, building comparable scientific network requires significant time, investment, and organizational learning, making it difficult to imitate. The remaining resources create value but do not provide a lasting competitive advantage. Purina's global distribution network is extremely valuable because it allows the company to reach consumers through grocery stores, pet specialty retailers, veterinary clinics, and online platforms. However, competitors such as Mars Petcare also possess extensive global distribution systems. Since this capability is not rare and can eventually be replicated, it results in a competitive variety rather than a sustained advantage. The same conclusion applies to Purina's multi-tier product portfolio. Offering products across multiple price points creates value by serving customer needs, but many competitors have similar broad portfolios. As a result, this resource also provides competitive variety rather than unique advantages. Overall, the VRIO analysis shows that Purina's strongest competitive advantages are not distribution or product variety. They are its scientific expertise and trusted brand. Those capabilities form the foundation of Purina's strategy and explain how the company competes successfully in a highly competitive industry. These activities reinforce one another. Scientific research strengthens the brand, Nestlé's manufacturing lowers costs, and broad distribution expands market reach. Together, they increase customer willingness to pay while reducing operating costs. Purina's competitive advantage is not created by one capability alone. It is created by the fit between its research, manufacturing, brand, and distribution activities. This integrated system allows Purina to compete through differentiation while benefiting from Nestlé's scale, making its position more difficult for rivals to imitate. Because Purina's strategy is built around science-based differentiation, the greatest competitive threat comes from firms attempting to capture the same premium segment. For the competitive dynamic analysis, I chose Mars Pet Care because it is Purina's closest rival in the premium pet food industry. Both companies compete through science-based brands and invest heavily in nutrition and research. If Purina launched an AI-enabled personalized subscription platform, Mars would likely view this as a direct competitive threat because it challenges one of their strongest market segments, premium health-focused pet nutrition. Mars' long-term strategy is centered on science-backed nutrition, sustainability, and building a strong pet care ecosystem through veterinary partnership and premium brands. However, unlike Purina's proposed strategy, Mars has placed less emphasis on direct-to-consumer subscription services. Mars has significant strengths, including global manufacturing, strong R&D capabilities, and substantial financial resources. Those capabilities mean that they would eventually respond, but their current strategy may slow their reaction because they aren't focused on direct-to-consumer relationships. The key takeaway is that Purina has an opportunity to create first-mover advantages in personalized subscription pet food before Mars fully adapts to its strategy. Mars itself emphasizes on creating a better world for pets, which reflects its long-term focus on science, nutrition, and pet health. That's exactly why Purina's move into AI-driven personalized nutrition would directly challenge Mars' strategic priorities. Mars would immediately notice because it directly competes with Purina and closely monitors the premium pet food segment. A launch of AI-powered personalized pet food through a trusted brand like Purina would be highly visible and strategically significant. Mars would recognize Purina's strategy as a competitive threat. Mars would have strong motivation to respond because the strategy challenges one of its core competitive advantages. Mars states that Royal Canin provides precise, science-based nutrition tailored to pet-specific needs. If Purina introduced personalized nutrition through a subscription platform, it would attract premium customers, strengthen customer loyalty, and increase switching costs, potentially slowing Mars's future growth. Mars has the resources to respond effectively through its extensive research and development capabilities, veterinary ecosystem, financial strength, and global scale. These assets give Mars the scientific expertise and infrastructure needed to develop competing products. However, Mars has less experience in direct-to-consumer subscription platforms, so it would likely respond first by building on its existing strengths rather than immediately copying Purina's approach. I believe Mars would initially increase marketing around Royal Canin by emphasizing its scientific credibility and veterinary partnerships. Over the following year, I predict Mars would expand further into personalized nutrition and eventually introduce its own subscription-based offering. This prediction is consistent with Mars's history of strengthening existing brands before expanding into new strategic areas. One signal I would watch out for is Mars announcing a partnership or an acquisition involving a direct-to-consumer pet food company. Because Mars has historically expanded its pet care business through acquisitions and partnerships, such an announcement would indicate the company is moving from awareness to competitive action. Nestlé's acquisition of Purina satisfies all three diversification tests. First, the pet care industry is attractive because demand continues to grow through premium nutrition and pet humanization. Second, Nestlé easily passed the cost of entry test because it has the financial strength to acquire Purina and continue investing without destroying shareholder value. Finally, the better off test is clearly met because Purina benefits from capabilities and it could not easily develop it on its own. This includes Nestle's global research network, AI-enabled manufacturing, supply chain experts, purchasing power, and worldwide distribution. Nestle invests approximately $1.7 billion annually in research and development, allowing Purina to innovate faster while lowering operation costs. Overall, Purina is significantly more valuable as a part of Nestle than it would be as an independent company or under another parent company. Artificial intelligence strengthens Purina's strategy because it improves both value creation and operational efficiency. AI increases customers' willingness to pay by delivering personalized nutrition recommendations and customized subscription plans supported by Purina's scientific research. Nestle states in its annual report that it is using artificial intelligence and advanced analytics to accelerate innovation and better meet customers' evolving needs. This supports Purina's ability to provide more personalized products and services. At the same time, AI lowers costs through improved demand forecasting, inventory management, and quality control, increasing the overall value created by the business. Nestle also explains that it is using AI and other digital technologies to improve its global supply chain. This reinforces how AI can reduce costs while improving performance. AI also changes the competitive landscape by moving Purina beyond traditional pet food companies and into a direct-to-consumer subscription and personalized nutrition markets. Finally, because Purina is owned by Nestle, the company has the financial resources, AI expertise, and global infrastructure needed to scale these technologies faster than many competitors, creating additional opportunities in digital pet health and personalized nutrition. Overall, Purina is in a strong strategic position, but also in a period of transition. The industry remains attractive despite high competitive rivalry because barriers of entry are significant and consumer demand continues to grow. The VRIO analysis showed that Purina's brand reputation and scientific research capabilities provide sustained competitive advantages that many competitors cannot easily replicate. Nestle's corporate resources further strengthen these advantages through global research, manufacturing, and AI investments. However, the company's competitive environment is evolving, and consumers increasingly expect personalized nutrition, subscription services, and digital experiences. These trends create pressure from both established companies like Mars and direct-to-consumer brands. Artificial intelligence does not replace Purina's competitive advantages, but instead enhances them by improving operational efficiency and enabling greater personalization. Overall, Purina's position is strong, but maintaining that position depends on successfully adapting to these changing market expectations. Based on the analysis, Purina should strengthen its AI-enabled operations while launching a science-backed customized subscription platform. Rather than creating a completely new strategy, AI enhances these existing strengths. This recommendation increases customers' willingness to pay by offering personalized nutrition plans that improve convenience and pet health, while also lowering costs through demand forecasting, inventory management, and production planning. Subscription services also create recurring revenue and increase customer lifetime value. For the strategy to succeed, consumers must trust AI recommendations that are supported by veterinary science. Nestle must continue investing in AI and digital capabilities, and Purina must maintain strong data privacy and customer confidence. This recommendation depends on several important assumptions. First, consumers must be willing to adopt AI personalized nutrition and subscription services. Secondly, AI recommendations must remain accurate and supported by veterinary science to maintain customer trust. Finally, Nestle must continue investing in AI and digital capabilities to successfully scale this strategy. There are also risks. Competitors like Mars could quickly introduce similar personalized features, reducing Purina's differentiation. Customer concerns about data privacy or inaccurate AI recommendations could weaken the trust in the brand. Additionally, if implementation costs are higher than expected or customer adaptation is slower than anticipated, the financial benefits may take longer to materialize. If these assumptions prove false, The recommendation would still improve operations, but it may not create a sustained competitive advantage that Purina is looking for. Thank you for listening, and here are my references.